What's up, design family, and welcome back to another episode of Fit Design TV. So glad to have you back on the channel. On today's episode, we'll be taking another look into the world of leathers. We've done a separate video in the past, which I consider to be the ultimate leather 101 video, where we've taken you through a complete overview of what leather is, how it's made, and the different grading systems for each leather. On today's episode, we'll specifically be looking at where most of the leathers that we see in the market are actually sourced from. Obviously, we know that most leather is animal-based, so we'll look at the key categories of leathers, and there are actually two that we see out in the market. The first one are going to be kind of the traditional leathers or the widespread leathers. These are going to be your traditional functional leathers. And on the other side, we have the category of exotic leathers. These are going to be a lot more difficult to find, and they're going to be a lot more expensive. So on today's specific episode, we'll be looking at the majority or the widespread leather family. We'll be evaluating each of these animals' leather sources. So we'll be looking specifically at natural leathers, and we'll be looking at each of the animal sources. We'll look at the key characteristics of each leather. We'll look at the typical hide area, so how much leather you get from each unit of the animal. And then lastly, we'll look at the common applications of each of these leathers. What's up, design family, and welcome to Fit Design TV. So glad to have you here. On this channel, we discuss all things sports fashion, graphic design, manufacturing, and technology. We'll discuss key topics, answer pressing questions, and provide actionable steps on starting your own product line. If you're interested in any of the above topics, stick around. You're in for a good one. Getting right into it, we'll start off with the most common leather that we see on the market. This is either cattle or a calf. A calf is a young cattle, so that's just something to bear in mind. This is going to be by far the most common leather source that's going to have an obvious rough grain across the entire hide itself. Calf skin, because of its younger nature and it's less broken in nature, it's going to be more lightweight and it's going to have a smoother surface than those that are made out of cattle skins or your bulls and your cows. When it comes to the amount of leather that you get out of each unit of these animals, typically a hide that you're going to get from a calf is going to be between 10 to 18 square foot of actual usable leather. And then something you're going to get from a cattle is going to be between 35 and 55 square feet. Some of the common applications that we see on both cattle and calf leathers are going to be for outerwear, bags, and shoes. It's an extremely fashion forward material and is one that is extremely durable. It takes on a beautiful patina as you wear it in over time, so it stains beautifully. Leather all around is just a great material to use. It breaks in beautifully, adds more character over time, and it's just something that's going to stand the test of time regardless of the season that you're using the leather in. Next up, we have the pigskin. As the name suggests, this is sourced from pigs. This is an extremely durable, soft leather that has an obviously tight grain and pore structure. It's extremely subtle and has a bit of a rubbery appearance and feel to it. Also, as the name suggests, this is very commonly used as the shell on American footballs, hence the name pigskin when referring to an American football. When it comes to the measured area that we get of leather out of one single hide, it's a little bit tough to tell because pigs actually do vary a lot in sizes, so there's no specific consensus on the measured area, but my estimation would be between 5 and 10 square feet. Characteristics wise, it's an extremely flexible leather due to its high lanolin content, so that is a major plus depending on where you want to use it. And some common applications, like we mentioned, on sports equipment, suede, shoes, and linings. Next up, we have sheep and lamb leathers. These are going to be extremely lightweight and fine-grained leathers that have a loose fibrous texture. Typically, baby lamb leather is extremely soft, it's almost buttery, and it's quite supple to the touch with a very, very fine grain. When it comes to the measured area that we get out of each of these hides, for a sheep, we're going to get around 5 to 15 square feet, depending on the specific sheep. On a lamb, we're going to get between 3 and 5 square feet. And for a bigger lamb, you're going to get away with between 5 and 7. So definitely keep that in mind. And when it comes to the applications, because of its delicate and flexible nature, we almost have a lot of different options that we can use sheep and lamb leather for. It's a bit more expensive than cattle and calf, so bear that in mind. So it's typically seen on higher end items. Last up in this key category is going to be goat leather. This is a wild leather that's soft with a very supple and fine grain. It typically has more defects on its surface than something like sheep leather, which makes it difficult to extract usable leather out of goat. So it's sort of a process or a type of leather that requires a lot more time and attention to cultivate correctly and to extract the correct resources from it. When it comes to the measured area that we get out of a single hide, typically that's going to range between 3 and 5 square feet. And characteristics wise, it has high tensile strength with a lot of durability, and often because of this, it's used in suede on a variety of different applications, whether it comes for outerwear, shoes, and other types of accessories. Goat skin is always going to be a great option. That is a wrap on this episode, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed it, learned a thing or two about the key types of leathers that we see on the market. Obviously, these leathers are non-exclusive to the exotic leather category that we'll be discussing on a separate episode, so definitely stay tuned for that. I think there's a lot more exotic leathers than you think. Pretty much any animal skin can be made into a leather, so definitely pay attention to that episode. It'll be dropping soon. Guys, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Fit Design TV. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. We put out great content on a week-to-week basis, and we'd love to have you join along for the ride. Guys, thank you once again for tuning into this episode. Until next episode, stay awesome.